And so the question is, how do we even know that this is a representation of that biblical figure, David? Two things: the sling in his left hand and the rock in his right. Because there's really nothing else. The age of this statue doesn't correspond to the biblical description of David, who was supposed to be a boy between the ages of 10 and 14. Michelangelo has instead depicted a man somewhere between the ages of 17 to 30. And why has Michelangelo deviated from this biblical description? Because I think it makes it more dramatic. In other words, if you walk into the Accademia to see a 17-foot tall statue of an 11-year-old scrawny kid, it's not going to have that same impact that it does today. And the amazing thing about looking at the David is that that muscular form that he has, essentially, if you didn't know that this was David, you could presume that it's either a sculpture of Apollo or of Hercules or some other Greek god. Or if you go on Netflix and you hit the action movie genre, any leading man today either looks like this or wants to look like this. And all you need to do is look up at that face, the furrowed brow of David. Look at those fixed, focused eyes, those flared nostrils, that puckered mouth, that squared jaw. Everything about it is suggesting that this is this moment of intense anticipation. And when you think about what Michelangelo is doing, it's essentially Michelangelo being the movie director, where he's reading the screenplay, which of course is the biblical story, which tells us that David was young. And when you're young, you're overconfident. That tells us that David was faithful. Because he was defending Israel, he thought that Yahweh would defend him, that David was super confident with his weapon of choice, which is the slingshot. When he argued with King Saul for the opportunity to fight Goliath, he said that when he was protecting his father's sheep, he was protecting them from lions and bears. How much more difficult could it be to kill a man? And of course, David would have been deadly with the sling. So can't you see that scene in the movie where David comes out and he's way too confident here? He has the sling casually thrown over his shoulder, that rock being tossed up and down in his right hand. And Michelangelo has sort of captured that split second. Look at that six-pack, which is not just the result of the 0.2% body fat that this man enjoys. This is physiological. He's taken this deep breath, and I think that David has finally come to grips with just how big Goliath actually is. So if I could turn the volume up right now, the two words coming out of David's mouth would be, "Oh, bleep," as he realizes just how big this man is. And this is that critical moment where he has to make the decision: drop that rock and go back to watching sheep for the rest of your natural life, or you stand up, you fight the giant, and you step into the history books.